Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, June 7, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video, then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more weather lovers or rain lovers just like you guys. Because we really want to build this weather community as we head into the peak of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October, so that we can keep everyone safe. Share this video with your friends, your relatives, your co-workers, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at this tweet from Ben Noel. He's actually a meteorologist at the National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research in New Zealand, and from time to time he makes some very accurate posts about the Atlantic hurricane season. If you remember, back in 2020 he highlighted how wet that season would have been in terms of the rainfall across the Caribbean, not to mention the hurricane activity, and it was very much accurate because it actually came to fruition. Now he made a post stating, here's how the 2024 ECMWF rainfall prediction for hurricane season on the left compares with 2020 on the right. So we're going to be looking at these images. So let's look at the 2024 image that he posted here, and we can see that we have a lot of greens that we can see by the key on the bottom right that represent wetter than average conditions stretching all the way across the main development region into the Caribbean, even into the Gulf of Mexico, Central America as well. So he's highlighting this. Now let us take a look at what was forecasted for the same time period, July to September of 2020. So we can see the vast difference. We have more in the way of that rainfall, more so across the southern portions of the main development region for that time frame. And we see exactly what happened. We had more of that rainfall across the southern Caribbean more than anything else, even right there off the east coast of the United States. So we can see that there's definitely some drastic differences regarding the amount of rainfall across those 2 years. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what unfolds, especially given the very warm sea surface temperatures across the Caribbean and the main development region. So it states here in his post, the 2020 season went on to become the most active season on record. Main takeaways: 2024 is on another level in terms of favorability for activity in the tropics, but it doesn't take a severe tropical system to have a severe impact. A weaker but slow-moving storm can have serious impacts, especially considering the extra warmth and moisture that's available via widespread marine heat waves in the region. And he's always one of those persons who is for, if it's gonna be hotter or the warmer the climate, the wetter the era is going to be. So he's very concerned considering how hot it is with all of the hot spells and heat waves plaguing the region. So he's concerned that with the heat comes even more moist or wet weather. So it all makes sense considering how very warm the temperatures have been for the past 2 months, from April into May, especially across Jamaica. So this map definitely makes sense with all of the rainfall that is predicted for July through to September 2024. It's very concerning. Hopefully we don't get it as bad as being forecasted by the supercomputer model here. He stated here, 2024 is unique. Based on the patterns in the basin, conventional forecast methods tell us to expect a very active season. However, conditions in the basin are anything but conventional at present. It's record warm just about all over. Long-range model forecasts can and will change. Forecasts leading up to the 2020 season turned more active with time. While I think it's unlikely that the 2024 forecast shows a major change in the months ahead at a basin level, however, strong La Nina becomes the prevalence of Saharan dust outbreaks and timing of the Madden-Julian oscillation pulses are examples of sources of uncertainty that may affect outcomes in the Atlantic. And we can see his post definitely going viral here. So the main takeaway, it's gonna be very wet this year. Look at this. This is July through to September. July in Jamaica is not so wet, but considering with the warm, it could be even wetter than June, and June is our secondary rainy season, May into June actually, across Jamaica. And we know September through to November are our primary rainy, well, is our primary rainy season. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. We'll see how accurate this post is. Hopefully it is not as bad as it's shown here, because if it is, boy, we really don't want the hurricanes at all. It's not fun at all to get, all of those down trees and power lines, no electricity, no internet. That's not fun at all. We'll take the rainfall as long as it is not, destroying bridges, destroying houses, and causing a loss of life. We just wanted to put a dent in the drought and cool the temperatures. We want everyone to be safe. Either way, I'll be here to keep you posted on hurricane season. Stay tuned to Weather Jamaica. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. As of the latest post, there is no tropical cyclone activity expected during the next 7 days. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being dominated by ridges of high pressure that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see that cold front that has been stretching down into portions of the Atlantic basin that was inducing a trough into portions of the Greater Antilles has now pushed out towards the east. We can also see numerous tropical waves right there to the northeast of South America, another one right here across the southern portions of the Central Caribbean. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can still see the leftover clouds associated with the cold front and the trough right here. We can also still see some clouds associated with the activity that has been plaguing portions of the Western Caribbean and the Greater Antilles, associated with that upper level trough that the National Hurricane Center's Atlantic discussion was talking about yesterday into today. As usual, we have a lot of activity taking place across sections of Central America and Northern South America, and we can also see the clouds associated with these tropical waves right there off to the northeast of South America as well. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that sections of some eastern parishes in Jamaica would have received some morning rainfall on Friday, then affect sections of some eastern, northern, and western parishes during Friday afternoon. And just for reference, we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. While northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on the top side of the island, so Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. And what ended up happening? As early as 3:55 a.m., we saw that yes, the infrared satellite images were posted, and they indeed showed the rainfall across eastern Jamaica in the morning hours, or the way early morning hours, and then most of that pushed out towards the east. Then we had a lot of thunderstorms right there off to the southwest of the island that definitely brought in some light rain to sections of some western parishes. That wasn't predicted for the morning hours, but that was definitely what we had. And we have to reiterate the fact that these troughs can be very tricky, bringing a lot of rainfall, showers, and thunderstorms one time. Then on another occasion, bringing more so in the way of sunshine or cloud cover than anything else. And that was exactly what took place today, because most of Jamaica received more so in the way of, if not some sunny weather, some maybe cloudy skies across most areas. A post was made on our Twitter page at 3:35 p.m. And keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page. but on our Instagram page as well at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss, posts that we don't even make here on our YouTube page. So we can see that the infrared satellite image was posted, and for the most part we had the thunderstorm activity across sections of western Jamaica. So definitely a section of Westmoreland, Hanover, maybe a section of St. James got in on a brief isolated thunder shower activity. Taking a look at some of our comments, basically for the morning hours, that was 11 hours ago, we saw that some of our commenters confirming the rainfall in their area for the early morning hours, loving the rain, and even TG Minidal stating still drizzling in Mobi as of 11 hours ago. And you can do the math regarding the time, considering that it is 5:51 p.m. Taking a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see that for the most part we had a mostly cloudy day. Sun definitely peaked out in some spots, but look right there across the west where we had those clouds coming in from the southeast. We definitely had that cloud cover building across sections of Westmoreland, Hanover, and St. James where we had the thunderstorm activity. And we still have the low level flow coming in, if you look closely right there, from the southeast across portions of the island. Maybe if we didn't have these mid to upper level, high level clouds being pushed off towards the north and the east, we might have had some amount of activity taking place today, but I guess that wasn't what took place. You know, these troughs can be very unpredictable, but somewhere in Jamaica definitely received rainfall. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images of Jamaica, so let's reload these images. So we have the very latest, that's as of 22:35, which is actually 5:35 p.m. Jamaica time. As a matter of fact, let's reload this one more time to see if we can get the latest. That's as of 5:45. Okay, it doesn't seem to want to load as yet. Let's see. Alright, so we're working with this. We still have some upper level clouds right there off to the west of the island. We do see those high cold cloud tops that represent the, well, that's represented by the blues, the greens, the yellows, the oranges, and the reds. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's raining heavily across the west at all. Let's see what will happen if we reload these images. Alright, so we're having a glitch apparently. Alright, no problem. If we take a look at the latest Cube and Doppler radar images, we know the Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall over an area, not necessarily like what the satellite images show. We know the satellite images show cloud cover over an area and not necessarily rainfall. And we do see that we have some greens that represent rainfall, mainly across sections of the west than anything else. Some leftover light to moderate rainfall across sections of Westmoreland, Hanover, and St. James as we speak. And the latest image is as of 6:30 p.m. Jamaica time. Let's see if we reload these images so that we have the very latest, if they will load. So we should get, if not 5:40, maybe 5:50 Jamaica time. That's 6:40 in Cuba. Alright, 6:50. Alright, there we have it. So these are the latest Cuban Doppler radar images right there. We still have some leftover rainfall right there across sections of the northwestern portion of the island. Maybe even a sprinkle of rainfall across sections of Manchester and Clarendon. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Saturday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18 on Saturday. When you calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we do see Jamaica right here embedded in some yellows and some slight orange colors that represent 1 to even 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. We know the normal temperatures for the month of June are about the same as 90 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 90 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 32.2 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Saturday. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know the dry air is represented by what we see on the key on the bottom, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. We do see a lot of dry air stretching all the way from Africa like a tongue across the main development region into portions of the eastern and central Caribbean Sea. And we know all of this is definitely making its way westward as usual in that easterly flow brought about by the ridge of high pressure. We see that we still have that moist air, all courtesy of the numerous troughs and tropical waves across portions of the central and western Caribbean. Hopefully we don't lose all of that and get back into the dry air at all. We don't want the heat, we don't want the lack of rainfall. We want the rainfall, but we don't want too much of it. However, as it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we do see the Saharan dust right here stretching all the way across the main development region into the Caribbean. We're definitely going to see some slight hazy weather across portions of Jamaica tomorrow. Jamaica should be right here. So definitely some slight hazy weather, maybe even triggering some respiratory illnesses in some people. We know some people are affected by the Saharan dust, whether it be asthma, sinusitis, you name it. Just ensure that you have your medication at hand. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS models are still in consensus that we're going to be getting in on those blues, those lighter shades of blues, that is, to darker shades of blues that represent anywhere from 0.5 meter wave heights to 1 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are going to be averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 knots, maybe even gusting to 25 knots in some spots, especially offshore areas where we see those yellows. And we can see the general direction for the winds coming in from the southeast across the island tomorrow. And we also see that the air is going to be piling up across sections of the northern portion of the island and the western portion of the island. And we know what usually takes place. We have those cumulus clouds becoming cumulonimbus clouds during the afternoon hours. And we have that diurnal convection, that daytime heating. So it's a possibility that some afternoon rainfall across the northwest is expected again. And if we're going to be getting some amount of rainfall coming off of the sea from the southeast, it could affect more so sections of some southern and eastern parishes. That's if we get some rainfall off of the sea at those times. Usually it's in the morning that we get that rainfall. In the afternoon we get that diurnal convection across the northern and western portion of the island. Either way, the upper level winds are definitely favoring sections of some southern parishes in Jamaica, with the winds coming in from the northwest. Again, we can see that being played out if we take a look back at the infrared satellite images. Hopefully they'll load now. If not, you can even rewind and see for yourself. So definitely maybe those high cold cloud tops are going to be pushing off towards the south and east. Let me see if I can find it. So we saw what took place. We saw these high cold cloud tops being pushed off towards the east. Tomorrow the high cold cloud tops are going to be pushed off towards the south and the east across the island. We'll see exactly what unfolds. We know that usually spells more rainfall for a section of some southern parishes, if not overcast skies, but we'll take it. And the 1 hour rainfall totals are actually forecasting rainfall for the morning hours. This is 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6 a.m. Jamaica time, on both the Euro and the GFS models. And where do we see the consensus for rainfall? Across sections of some southern and eastern parishes. So definitely a section of Portland, St. Thomas, maybe sections of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester might pick up on some morning rainfall. And the fact that both of them are in consensus for this morning rainfall increases the odds of it actually happening. Skipping ahead to about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 9 a.m. Jamaica time, we still see much of the same. The blues represent rainfall across sections of some southern and eastern parishes in Jamaica. Then finally, by 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, we see that they're both in consensus that there's going to be a lot of rainfall out to sea to the north and west of the island. Even the Euro a bit more robust with all of these greens, yellows, oranges, reds. GFS not so robust, showing some dots of blues that represent rainfall across the east, the north and the west portions of the island, which makes more sense considering the wind direction. Euro showing more of those blues across the south. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in consensus that it's going to be raining somewhere across the island tomorrow. We see that the Euro is showing what, up to 0.52 of an inch of rainfall across the northwest. GFS showing up to 0.87 of an inch of rainfall across the east. It all makes sense, especially given where the rainfall is expected at certain times. the east and the south in the morning, and the north and the west during the afternoon. So get ready for that rainfall if you're gonna be doing the laundry. Ensure that if you live in the east, the laundry is not already out during Saturday morning. If you live in the north and west, ensure that the laundry is already done by the time the afternoon rolls out. And we're indeed grateful. We're in the month of June, we're in our secondary rainy season. We usually receive up to 133.35 millimeters of rainfall during this month. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put some kind of a dent in the hydrological drought that some areas are currently experiencing, not to mention put some kind of a hold on all of the very warm temperatures that we've been experiencing. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we still have a lot of clouds associated with the very long lingering trough across portions of the Greater Antilles, including the Western Caribbean, sections of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, section of Cuba, the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands. Definitely got some heavy rainfall today. We can also see some afternoon convection across sections of the Central America area right there. Sections of Northern South America definitely getting on some amount of rainfall. And we see all the clouds associated with numerous tropical waves, as well as the intertropical convergent zone. We know the intertropical convergent zone is where the winds from the northern hemisphere meet the winds from the southern hemisphere, and we have all of that air piling up and causing a lot of rainfall. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, they're finally getting in on a break. Don't see much taking place. A good pattern shift is finally here. Don't see that tremendous afternoon rainfall across sections of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico at all. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, even Barbados definitely getting in on a break, especially considering the dust that is plaguing the air as we speak. Just some sprinkles of blues that represent light rainfall coming into sections of Martinique and St. Lucia as we speak. Some of that coming in from the east, maybe to affect section of Barbados later on tonight. And we can also see some of that to the north passing by Tobago. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see a lot of rainfall right there on the Central American radar. Maybe that's in Belize. We see a lot of rainfall to the east of there, pushing eastward, associated with this blob of rainfall right here. You can see it exiting the coast of Belize and pushing more so towards the east. So definitely section of the Cayman Island gonna be plagued with some very heavy rainfall even as we speak. Not saying that's gonna be coming to the Jamaica area at all, I doubt that. But we'll see exactly what unfolds, and I'll keep you here posted if anything occurs. We see a lot of thunderstorms taking place across sections of western Cuba, section of southern Florida, not to mention some rainfall across section of northwestern Venezuela, Suriname and French Guyana. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that this map from the GFS is showing 18 there on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we see the yellows and the oranges that represent above normal temperatures that should still be plaguing majority of the basin. If we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast, we see all the Saharan dust as represented by the brown colors, pushing all the way from Africa across the main development region into the Caribbean. So definitely a section of the Windward Islands than anything else. Section of the Northern Caribbean, the ABC Islands, gonna be getting on some slight hazy skies, if not triggering some respiratory illnesses in some persons. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see those lighter shades of blues that still should be plaguing section of the Bahamas, the Gulf of Mexico, that will now represent anywhere from 0 to 0.5 meter wave heights. We have those darker shades of blues, even at some mixture of purples in there, that represent anywhere from 1 to 2 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds, for the most part, should be averaging anywhere from 0 to 5 knots, where we have the least amount of waves, so across the Gulf of Mexico, the Bahamas, and averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 knots across the eastern to the western Caribbean, even where we see those yellows up to even 25 to 30 knots. And we see the general direction across the main development region from the east curving northward from the southeast, maybe, or the east southeast across the central to the western Caribbean. But about the rainfall forecast now, let's take a look at where it's going to be raining within the next 24 hours. Keep in mind that both of these maps from the year and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. So 3Z, when you calculate that, that's 10 p.m. on Saturday, and we do see that both maps are in consensus of where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours. So we see it right here. Some rainfall definitely in store for section of Cuba, section of the Cayman Islands, Jamaica getting in on the mix, but not as much as earlier in the week. Section of Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, sections of Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana. Not to mention sections of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, Mexico right there, even Guatemala and El Salvador getting in on some of that rainfall too. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.